Here's your weekly news update with me, Larry Lawton. Let's get right to the news this week. Well, obviously, we're at war. I don't know where at war, but Russia launched a full-scale attack on Ukraine. This is a sad situation, and I'm going to give some numbers that are just crazy. And this is as of Thursday night at midnight. 137 people were killed by the Russian troops, 350 injured. There are reports of some Russian deaths, but nothing confirmed as of right now. Ukraine has called up all 18 to 60-year-old males to fight, and they're giving out 10,000 guns to all civilians who are capable of fighting. So Ukraine calls for all citizens to take up arms. President Zelensky says he's the #1 target for Russia, and his family is #2. As of the taping of this show, they're heading to Kiev. The Russian military is heading to Kiev. They took hostages in Chernobyl. Why Chernobyl? I have no idea. You can get into a lot of stuff there. The U.S. and a lot of countries gave sanctions to the Russians. Large Russian state-owned banks trading in 5 Russian oil tankers and container ships. Also, oligarchs who are elite, who are close to Putin, have been all banned. All banned U.S. banks and individuals from trading in a Russian sovereign debt. So that's going to hurt the Russian economy. The Russian economy is the size of Texas. I want everybody to just take that in for a second. The Russian economy is the size of Texas. So they're hurting as it is. And I don't think this is going to be a good thing for Russia. The Russian main stock exchange tumbled 20%, the largest since their market started, and they lost $200 billion in stock market value. The ruble is at the lowest point against the dollar as it is. You got to give these Ukrainian people a lot of credit. Warships off the coast of an island they were attacking announced to put down their weapons, and the Ukrainian soldiers on that island said, "Warships, go fuck yourself." What a difference from the Afghan war. And I got to give them a lot of credit there. Hey, listen, you're fighting for your own country. You're fighting for the land you live. It's a hell of a lot different than fighting something you don't own. The Klitschko brothers, if anybody knows who those are the professional boxers, the heavyweight champs of the world. They're both from Ukraine. In fact, Vitaly Klitschko is the mayor of Kiev, and he vowed to pull up arms and fight for his country, and so did his brother. So they're going to fight for the country. I would like to have a hand fight with those two. You're not going to win that one. This was pretty interesting. The hacker group Anonymous. Everybody knows who they are. The hacker group Anonymous. And they're a very, they do a lot of crazy shit. They infamous because they, target businesses and financial institutions and a lot of things. And they hold these places for a ransom. They declared a cyber war against Russia. The message appeared on the group's Twitter account. I think that's impressive. And also, I want to let everybody know, listen, Russian people, you're my fans. You're people that watch our shows, and you're good people. This is a Putin thing, I think. And there's protests in the streets of Russia, and I don't think that's good for Vladimir Putin at all. And I think it's crazy. I think the people there realize that Vladimir Putin has been in power for 22 years. Former KGB, head of the KGB. He's been in power for 22 years. And he promised to get the economy going and bring Russia back to financial prominence and live a better life. And it hasn't developed. And I think the people are sick and tired of it. And I think Putin is just doing it's a power play, personally. I've been watching all newses, and I watch them all, so I don't get my news from one station. There's nothing right what Putin is doing. And I feel bad for the Ukrainian people. And, there's people in shelters, there's people all over the place. But, I'll tell you one thing I'm going to say right here. The United States, we have guns. You could like it or hate it. But I'll tell you what, the United States government doesn't have to come out and say, hey, come get guns if we're getting attacked. we have guns. And you know, that's part of how the American history goes. If you look back 240 years ago, when we seceded from England, they wanted to take our firearms, the Tories, and that didn't go. All these countries that don't have firearms, this is what happens. If you had firearms here, you couldn't do it, and we do. You know, everybody has got a firearm. You got to come in and fight us in our homes, and we defend our homes. And listen, if you're fighting for your own ground and you're fighting like we fought in World War II to speak English instead of German, you're gonna fucking realize you fight harder. And I'm giving them a lot of credit. You know, it's amazing what's going on with how the economics of this whole thing is going out. You have China, Germany, and Russia's a big oil supplier. And Germany is not, you know, holding tight, in my opinion. I mean, you want to really bring sanctions down to Russia, that's what's going to count. That's what's going to count when you can cut down their oil. And let me explain why Russia really wants Ukraine. Ukraine is a very, very rich natural resources country. And I think that's a big thing, and people are not getting it. It's not about NATO. Although, you know, NATO, if you want to really go to it, does NATO really belong there? I don't know. That's for bigger and better people than me. I hate to see people die over this. You know, when I look at war, I look at young people who are dying, and that's what this is. This is young people going to die on the orders of somebody to say, go attack. I don't get it. You're not being attacked. How do you attack? You know, America's been in so many wars. You know, we know this. Whether it's Vietnam, Korea, or Afghanistan, whatever wars the United States is in, you know, we lost young men's lives. For what? All turns out to be bullshit. I think Vladimir Putin actually miscalculated the Ukrainian will to be free. And I think he's going to run into a lot of storms because you can't hold it. How are you going to hold a country unless you keep men there and you don't have enough men? You can't even afford your own people. You're going to want more? You think he's going to take the resources? You know, it's going to be a bad day. I think things are worse going to happen too. And I hope it happens, but I hope it happens quick. And I'm supporting Ukrainians government, but I do support the Russian people. This is not you guys. I love you guys. This is a totalitarian government that is just out of whack right now. And I think you all know it. But I'll just leave that at that. In other world news, China again sent 9 planes into Taiwan's airspace, testing their air defenses. I think that's pretty wild right now. And it's that's the second time. In January last month, around the same time, they sent 39 planes into Taiwan airspace. And I really think China's testing the waters because they're seeing what the Americans are going to do and what sanctions they can withstand, if you want to call it that way. That's the next conflict in the world, is the Straits. And I think we're going to hear more of that now. I think America's got to be strong. We spend a lot of money in the military, you know, but let's not think about throwing men into these wars. So I'm agreeing with the president at this point. I don't want to see American lives lost. I don't want to see any lives lost. I really don't. But there is a happy balance, and the NATO, Article 5 of NATO is attack one, you attack all. So I don't think Vladimir Putin's going to push it to go to a NATO country. If he does, I think there's no choice for the United States and the whole 30 other countries in NATO just to fucking wipe him off the fucking planet. That's my opinion there. Now let's jump into the United States news. I did a video on it. Kim Potter, the Minnesota police officer who killed Dante Wright with a gun instead of a taser when she screamed taser, was sentenced to 2 years. I did a video on that. Check that out if you'd like. Also on the world news, Ahmaud Arbery's killers. The 3 killers of Ahmaud Arbery were found guilty of federal hate crimes. Travis McMichael, 35, Gregory McMichael's his father, 65, and William Roddy Bryan, 51, were convicted of one count of using force or threat to intimidate or interfere with Mr. Arbery's right to use a public street, and because of race. In addition to that hate crime, the defendants were found guilty of attempted kidnapping. You know, that's another thing. I don't know what it really means. They already had life sentences. As long as they can't get out, what are you going to do? And a judge ordered the parents of the school shooting in Michigan to stand trial for involuntary manslaughter. This is another one I don't understand. I think we're really on a slippery slope when we're bringing people to trial on things that their kid, you might think you knew, you didn't know, and this can get really dicey. That's all I'm going to say. So let's not be this hard, get everybody attitude people, because it could be you next. And you know, are we free? I want you to really think about that. Good news. I got good news. Has anybody heard anything about COVID? Nope. Since the war, not a fucking word on the TV about COVID. On any channel, not a word. I literally had to research about COVID, finding out that Queen Elizabeth, at 95 years old, has COVID. So far, she's doing well, but mortality in the over 65 is where most of your deaths come. But the numbers are really off the charts if you're not boosted. You have almost a 5% chance of dying. If you're vaccinated and boosted, you got a less than 0.5%, and that's over 65 years old. And since the Omicron is not as bad, the numbers are probably even lower. But the good news, I think this is going to push us out of COVID. I really do. You're not seeing anything about masks. You're not hearing anybody talk about masks. I think that's refreshing. In fact, it was very refreshing. I went to the Daytona 500. I'll talk about it more in sports, but when I went to the Daytona 500, I didn't see one mask. Not on a worker, not on a person at the event. And I'll tell you what, it was refreshing. And I'm not hearing about people getting overly sick or spreader events or any of this shit. I have a feeling COVID's over. So get off the air, Fauci. Get off the air, all you people. You know, listen, I know it's real. I'm a believer in the vaccines. But it's over. I mean, let's face it. I mean, we're going to be going against a lot of things in our health issues. But let's tackle them as individuals, not let's tackle them as the whole world is going to end. Now I'm going to jump to weather. We got weather. We got winter storm Oakley. It's an actual name. Oakley is spreading snow and ice from the plains to the Midwest and the Northeast. Heavy snow this weekend, followed by cold temperatures. You know, I was just thinking about that, and I asked my Alexa the weather, and sure enough, the weather is gorgeous. Winter is going to be passing here soon, everybody, and you're going to enjoy your summers, and you're going to probably be bitching about how hot it is, because we don't know about global warming and global change. That's all I'm going to say there. Let's get into deaths. This is one. Hot Lips Houlihan. The lady who played Hot Lips Houlihan in the movie, not in the TV show, was Sally Kellerman. Sally Kellerman was 84 years old. She died of heart failure in Woodland Hills section of Los Angeles. And she had a pretty good career, but she played Hot Lips Houlihan. One of my favorite shows is MASH. I like the TV show MASH with Alan Alda and Jamie Farr and Gary Bergdorf and Loretta Swit. And that show is just one of the great shows in my mind. Great run of a show. But this lady, Sally Kellerman, she played also in, if you guys remember the movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield is one of my favorite actors, favorite comedians. And he played in Back to School. He played his son. He played a guy named Mellon going back to school. And he was a rich businessman. And he ended up having to get a degree. And she played this hot professor, Sally Kellerman. Remember her very well there. And Rodney, of course, how can you forget Rodney? Next death up was Danny Davis. Yes, Danny Davis, the little guy, 43. a star at a Beecher's Madhouse. For 2 decades he was doing that. And the police actually suspect foul play. So we didn't get much on that, but the police did suspect foul play. And another one, Mark Lanigan, the frontman of the Screaming Trees, one of the pioneering bands on the Seattle grunge circuit. So I think that's pretty good. Also on a death I want to report, there's been reports of the Bob Saget death and the autopsy coming out, saying the hit that he took, or the autopsy saying that the crack in his head had to be consistent with a 20-story fall, hitting your head, or getting hit with a baseball bat. I don't know. What does that mean? Does that mean he was murdered? Is it suspect? Who knows? Was he out getting drugs? And I will never disparage a man and say that. But why are they saying this now? And why does the family want to keep this under the table? If that was me, I hope they want to know, no matter what drugs or whatever the fuck I was doing. Because, listen, when you're dead, does it matter? I don't think it does. So, let's go on to the final thing today, and it's going to be sports. All right. The only big event was the Daytona 500. I was there. I witnessed it in a pool. I had Bubba Wallace, who came in second. He was Michael Jordan's driver for a Toyota team. And the Penske team with a Ford was the Austin Cindric one. The note about this race, he's only 23 years old, and he's 6'4". I've been in a NASCAR. I drove 10 laps around Daytona alone in an actual NASCAR. And I couldn't fit in that fucking car. You saw me try to get out of a McLaren. You should have seen me trying to get out of a NASCAR through a window. And that's when I was lighter. Well, this kid's 6'4". So I got to give him a lot of credit. He's got to be pretty cramped in that space. But he won. Congratulations to him. It is the Super Bowl of racing. It's like winning the Masters in golf. And finally in the news, for the Olympics ended. I want to say congratulations to all the athletes, even the non-winners. You dedicate your career and your life to a sport. You come in second and nobody knows who you are. A little recognition doesn't hurt. And you guys deserve it. You are the spirit of why we do things. When countries can get together, no matter what country they are, and athletes can break through that barrier. They really can. And this is the Olympic medal count for this year's Olympics. Norway had 16 gold medals and 37 total medals. First, the ROC, and that's the Russian team, actually had 6 gold medals and 32 total medals. Germany had 12 gold medals and 27 total medals. Canada had 4 gold medals and 26 total medals. The United States of America had 8 gold medals, 25 total medals. Sweden had 8 gold medals and 18 total medals. Austria, 7 gold medals and 18 total medals. Japan, 3 gold medals and 18 total medals. Italy rounds up 2 gold medals with 17 total. And the Netherlands gives the top 10 list for me with 8 gold medals and 17 total medals. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the news. I want to wish everybody a great week, and I really want to send my prayers and my energy towards the proper thing of ending this war. Lives are not worth anything to die for like that. But I guess your country is, because I think I would too. So, come on, Putin. Fucking stop this shit. Fucking stop this shit. Please. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great day. Please stay safe. And this is the news with Larry Lawton.